So you're the new competition to Rotax, from what I understand.
Yeah, in a certain respect. I mean, we've got some engines that compete well in the Rotax category, but now we've got up to 8 engines, so we go from 97 horsepower all the way up to 200 horsepower. So it's, you know, a lot more breadth, really.
Now, when did this engine first come out into the market?
In 2002, we started with the first engine, and it was for an ultralight helicopter in Europe, and it was 97 horsepower. And then that evolved into, you know, with some slight changes, became 107 horsepower. And then it evolved from there. Now we're up to, you know, the 8 different engines.
Now, when did the engine first enter the U.S. market?
Really about 4 years ago, we started getting a couple of engines. We started UL Power North America about 2 years ago. And now we've probably got about 70 engines in the United States.
And are most of those engines that would be, say, into light sport, or are you selling even bigger engines for bigger aircraft?
Yeah, it started out 2 years ago. We just had the 4-cylinder engine, and a sweet spot seemed to be 130 horsepower because it was about the same weight, maybe a little bit more weight than the Rotax, a little bit less weight than the Jabiru, but a little bit more power. So that was kind of the sweet spot. Even though we had 4 different 4-cylinder engines, the 130 horsepower was popular. And now with the 6-cylinder engine, we're getting a lot more interest from, you know, beyond just the light sport. We're getting, you know, a lot of the amateur-built experimental airplanes as well.
Now, are you looking in the near future to going through the ASTM standard?
Yeah, in Europe, actually, the factory has done all the ASTM testing, and they're working with a couple manufacturers in Europe to actually install the engines in SLSA aircraft.
Now, what are some of the advantages of your engine, say, over a Jabiru or a Rotax, that type?
Well, what's nice is it's a traditional aircraft engine design. It's got the direct drive, so there's no gearbox. And as a result of that, the engine is at a much lower RPM. You know, we're cruising at maybe 2,800 RPM on the engine, so the engine should last longer theoretically. And also compared to the Rotax, we've got a wet sump, and we've got direct drive, air-cooled, dual electronic ignition, multi-point fuel injection, and FADEC. So it's just got a lot of technology that the Jabiru doesn't have and the 912 doesn't have. The 912IS now has it a little bit different packaging, but it's much more similar. But we're a lot more power than the 912IS.
Now, are you buying this, or is the company buying this and putting it on, or are they designing this stuff specifically for aircraft applications?
The engine is designed from scratch, and everything except the pistons is their own design and manufacture. And then the components like fuel injection and the FADEC and things like that, they had been buying off the shelf. The ECU itself now is their own design and manufacture, but a lot of the components like the alternator and the coils, those are come off automotive or motorcycle applications.
So if someone, for example, had an engine and they were looking at moving to your engine, and let's just take a Jabiru, for instance, what would be the difficulties of mounting your engine into a Jabiru installation?
We haven't had many people actually take engines off and replace them with UL Power. We're seeing more and more of that, but it's more new installations. But basically, compared to the Jabiru, the factors to consider are the weight of the engine. It's a little bit lighter, and then the power is comparable depending upon which engine of ours that you choose. And so really it's a combination. Most people need a new mount and a new cowl, and then sometimes a different propeller. But really those are the big issues.
So say, for example, I was building a Zenith aircraft. How could I adapt, or what do I require to adapt your engine into my airplane?
Well, Zenith has a firewall forward kit for all of their airplanes. So on the 650 and 750, it's the same firewall forward kit. So from Zenith, you buy the firewall forward kit. If you don't already have an engine on your plane, and it includes the mount, the cowl, miscellaneous hardware to install the engine, and they've got their own installation manual. So you get, in the engine, you buy it directly from Zenith as well. So you get the whole package from Zenith, and it's everything you need firewall forward to make the plane fly.
Now, for example, there's a lot of tail draggers on the market. So you look at that new Just aircraft with that new suspension and big wheels and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, I'm suspecting that they're probably going to go into the 200 horsepower range to compete with some of their competition. How difficult would it be to put that engine on?
What's nice about the new 6-cylinder, the big 6-cylinder, is really going to enable a whole new category of planes. You'll still be able to stay in light sport, but the engine at 200 horsepower, you get more power for less weight than an IO 360. It's about 100 pounds lighter, and you get 20 more horsepower. And so Just Aircraft right now in their factory has a 180 horsepower UL that they're putting onto a Super Stall, and then they are also going to actually stretch the fuselage and make it wider. So they're going to be able to totally change their airframe as a result of our new engines.
And now, how many manufacturers are you dealing with directly then with your engine as an installation package?
In the United States, what I do is if somebody calls me and says, hey, I've got ABC airplane and I want to put UL power on it, I go to ABC Airplane Engine or Company and ask them if they want to do a firewall forward kit. And if they choose to do it, then we work with them. So Zenith was the first, and now we've got firewall forward kits from the manufacturer for Kitfox, Ariane Aircraft, Just Aircraft, and then not RANS directly, but one of the RANS dealers is doing a firewall forward kit. So we're getting a lot more acceptance. And what's nice is the builders really appreciate that, because then they've got the manufacturer's support behind them, and they feel a lot safer doing UL power since the manufacturer's involved in the process.
Now, most pilots or someone that's looking at buying this, a couple of the aspects that they're going to look at is, first of all, what's the TBO on it and what kind of warranties are on it?
The TBO is 1,500 hours. We'll probably raise that when we get more experience on the whole fleet. And then the warranty is 2 years from the day that it ships to you. So I encourage people not to order the engine until about 10 weeks before they actually want to install it. And then what's nice about this engine is the oil pan, the way it's designed, you can remove the pan very easily. You don't have to take out the exhaust or anything. And you can do a real good visual. The case is designed, it's wide open, so you can see the camshaft, you can see the followers, you can see the back of the connecting rods. So if you're approaching TBO and you're doing oil analysis and the oil's good, the compression's good, and you do a good visual inspection and everything looks good, put it back together and keep flying.
The other things that, of course, a pilot has to consider is, what about service for the engine?
Well, what's nice is people are finding is the engine is so easy to work on. You know, a lot of us grew up with Volkswagens and things, and in terms of working on Volkswagen engines or an O200, this is very similar to that. And so in the US, there's probably about 70 engines that I've delivered, and about half of those probably are flying. Everybody except one guy has done all of his own maintenance, and the one guy went to an A&P simply because he didn't have time to do it himself. And so in terms of, you know, you doing your own maintenance, it doesn't void the warranty. We actually encourage it because you learn the engine better, and the more you know about your engine as a pilot, the safer pilot you will be.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to talk a little more or get more information, where would they go?
You can go to our website, which is ulpower.net, and then we've also got a Facebook page. We put new information on there, like new airplanes flying. You can just search for UL Power inside of Facebook, and then my contact information is on the website, email and phone number.